6-1 yesterday. They didn't score many runs in Philadelphia. You score 3 Friday night, you score 3 Saturday, you score 4 Sunday, and then 1 last night. And so far, you're 1-6 on this 10-game road trip. Spadoni in for Shasky, doing a hell of a job. It's Lubman and got Carter back there on the board behind the glass. Giants, where do you go from here? 15-21, 4th in the NL West. Nobody's hitting. Chapman 0 for 3, now down to 209. We're going to get to Jacob and Dan in just a second, but Tim Kirchin, Spadoni, joined Willard and Dibbs yesterday.
Love Tim Kirchin.
And he was asked, this right now is going to become the biggest topic, especially after last week, Christopher Russo, Mad Dog, was on with Laura Britton Chavez on Giants pre- and post-game live, and he said that how does Farhan still have a job? He's had 1 good year as an executive. How does he still have a job? Well, here's Tim Kirchin, Spadoni, on whether or not Farhan's seat is heating up.
If you're asking me, is it really hot? I would say no. Farhan has been an excellent executive for a long time, but this is a frustrated fan base, and I understand why. And you can't look in this division without being exceptionally worried that the Padres just picked up a 333 hitter over the last 3 seasons. The Dodgers are really, really good, and they're only going to get better. Walker Buehler comes back tonight. So when you look at the job the front office has done with the Giants, obviously the job has not been done since the 107-win season, and this is where Farhan and his group has got to figure this out. And but I don't think he's on a hot seat at this point, but we'll see about that.
All right, this segment is sponsored by Golden State Lumber, serving the Bay Area for 3 generations. When you succeed, we succeed. Visit GoldenStateLumber.com. Spadoni, what's your thoughts on that?
It's hard for me to not think of him being on the hot seat. And I understand where Tim's coming from because he has a lot of league sources, right? So he's just telling you guys and all of us people what he hears from other GMs, other executives. He's probably still well thought of around the league because, you know what, his work with Billy Beane, David Forst in Oakland, and obviously with Andrew Friedman in LA. A lot of good players to come out of both those teams, right? And he was a part of that. But now he's the guy in San Francisco, and we haven't seen anything. Like, literally. Like, I haven't seen him one bat that I could be like, wow, this is going to be the next guy on our team for the next 10 years. Like, that's all we're looking for, right? I'm looking for that, that Donaldson find. Hell, that Cespedes find that you found in Oakland. And then, obviously, with the Dodgers, all the names you could think of that came through that system. And it's just like, I'm comparing him to the other GMs that we have here in the Bay Area. And maybe that's unfair to him because there's been a lot of great GMs. But I don't think it's unfair, actually. Because that's the standard of excellence that the Giants themselves have set. Who'd you induct yesterday?
Brian Sabian.
How many World Series was he a part of here?
3.
Took the team to 4, right?
4. Best era of San Francisco baseball, before the World Series. You go from 97 to 03. You look at what those Giants teams did, and you say, oh, they had Barry Bonds. Oh, they had this, they had that. But Chris Berman was Brian Sabian's presenter. Back. Prime time. Seriously, Chris Berman was his presenter last night in the Bay Area Sports Hall of Fame. And he mentioned how, wow, first-round pick Matt Cain. Wow, first-round pick Tim Lincecum. Wow, Madison Bumgarner, first-round pick. Holy smokes, you drafted Buster Posey, top 10. Wow. You signed Pablo Sandoval. Oh, whoa. You find Brian Wilson. You find the core of this team, and you put together a winner. That's an executive, a guy who knows how to work the room, who can shake hands and kiss babies. I watched Farhan Zaidi last night, and I don't know if he's comfortable amongst crowds. Maybe that's just not his thing. There's a lot of GMs, executives, coaches who are not comfortable in front of crowds, who don't know how to work a room. But in this market, I think it's a priority that you learn to work the room. When you're in that seat, you're the ambassador. You're the face of the franchise. You're the guy out there talking and speaking on everybody's behalf. You're the man. And right now, he doesn't look like the man for this job. And I'm trying not to be hard on Farhan Zaidi. I know how hard I went last season. May have tuned some people out. But I just don't see it, Spadoni. I don't see it with the guy.
In their last 11 games, Bonte, they've scored more than 3 runs once.
Yeah.
Once in the last 11 games.
Once.
That's inept. That's White Sox level. No. I'm sure the White Sox have scored more in that frame. Like, come on.
Not only that.
The A's scored 20 over the weekend.
I know.
Like, come on.
Dude, 408. Xfinity Mobile text line, and this is something I've touched on, and he's on it. 408. Anybody think that Melvin might not be that good? The Padres just let him go to a rival. And that's a question. We asked, who's our guy from San Diego Lubbock? We had on. He was really, really good. We had him on that said, why all those guys who are in that on that team, all that talent, Melvin could get them right? Melvin could get them right and rolling?
I mean, he had talent with the A's. He just could never get past that hump. That was his problem too, and he was there for some of the rebuilds. Those A's teams also had really good players too. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like those, you had Matt Olson, you had Chapman. Before that, again, you had guys like Donaldson, you had Doolittle as the closer. You had so many names there, and now he's kind of given a team where the names are kind of not that great.
Yeah,
and we're going to try to see how good of a manager he actually is. And right now, I mean. Yeah. He's mad. He's angry. He's frustrated. A month into the season, he sounds perplexed at the podium on what to do with this team, Bonte. And again, we were talking about leadership from top to bottom, instilling that within an organization. Pat Riley going at his guy, Jimmy Butler, trying to instill that heat culture that we think of in the NBA. Right. There was a culture set with the Giants under Brian Sabian. Yep. What's the culture that's been set with Farhan Zaidi? And no, seriously, what's the culture that is within this team right now?
I was told last night, it's so crazy that the Giants didn't show the history, whether it was the clubhouse or the dugout. But basically they took down all the Willie Mays stuff and all the championship stuff and all the history. When you walk into Yankee Stadium, you're going to see the monuments. You're going to see the pinstripe jerseys. You feel the ghosts. You feel the history. When you go in the Staples Center, Crypto.com, you see the banners. You see the jerseys retired. You see the championship years on the floor inside those stars. What Farhan has done with the Giants, oh my gosh. I didn't think it was going to start off this rough, but it's obvious. They whiffed when they didn't move off from both Kapler and Farhan, and they kept Farhan along for the ride and extended him. Let's go to Jacob in the city. Jacob, what's happening? You're on the roast.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
What's up, Jacob?
I just want to say, Farhan is, if he's not on the hot seat, I don't know why. The only thing we had to look forward to last season was cheap tickets. The only thing we have to look forward this season is really Jung-Ho Lee and our young pitching corps with Logan Webb, Harrison, and Hicks. We really need to bring up the young guys and just let them play. Put Luciano at short. Put Matos and Ramos in the outfield with Lee. Just let them run. It's not like we're going to do anything with this team. That Snell pickup was a reach. Last season, he had a terrible first half. This season, his first half is his spring training. So what is he really going to do? And then you can't really go at Bob Melvin. He has nothing to work with. Look at the lineup. There's nothing to go for. Within the season, we need to go after Jazz Chisholm. We need to go after Pete Alonso. We need to do something because none of these guys are going to hit. It's clear. None of these guys are going to hit.
Yep, Jacob. Hey, good call, man. Good call. Let's go to Dan in Belmont. We'll pick up what Jacob said. We'll get Dan in Belmont out here. What's up, Dan?
Hey, morning, boys.
Morning.
Hey, so, this team is exactly who we thought they were. You can't go out and your big spends on bats are two guys that hit 240 below that, and not to mention Jorge Soler can't stay healthy. 8 of his 10 seasons, he's been injured. And his one good season was last year in Miami. He's going to play 90 games for us. Matt Chapman's going to be the 220 hitter. Great defensively. Don't get me wrong there. I love him playing third.
Right.
But he's a 7-8 hitter now. Jung-Hoo Lee is your one good outfielder. There's nobody coming up. You can't say, oh, we got Luciano. Well, he could be playing over Fitzgerald and Ahmed at short.
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody coming up anymore. You can't tell me that if you didn't get Ohtani, you weren't going to get Yamamoto.
Right.
And the penny pinching here is what's killing me because the Giants have the payroll. And you could have had both of those guys here in San Francisco to change the identity of this team.
Well, Dan, I hear you. I don't think they're penny pinching because they have a top 10 payroll.
No, they're spending.
They spent nearly $200 million or something.
Yeah. Right now the payroll's at $200 million. They spent over $3 this offseason. So it's not that they're not spending money because they spent money the last 2 years.
It's not spending it wisely.
How they're spending their money.
Poorly.
Exactly. And the whole thing that Shohei and Yamamoto was going to come here, They're looking at this team. They're not coming here.
It was never going to happen.
I mean,
Like, just look, if you're Shohei Ohtani, you're the number one baseball player on the planet. You're looking at what the Dodgers have to offer. First, just Mookie Betts is more appealing than everything the Giants have
Freddie
to offer.
Freeman,
And then you got guys on top of that. So this whole notion of like, oh, maybe the Giants are going to get Shohei, like, it was never going to happen. Maybe they could have driven the price up for the Dodgers as if that mattered, but Shohei and Yamamoto were never going to come here.
Yeah.
And Yamamoto especially, because that was Farhan's white whale. That was the guy he spent years getting ready to bring in, and then he finally puts his plan into motion, and it's just, you weren't even shocked they didn't come here. That's Farhan Zaidi.
It's a good point, Sam. Garlic Fries and Baseball guys, catch it wherever you get your podcast. Joe Shasky and Sullivan doing a hell of a job. Who'd you guys just have on? Kyle Harrison, right?
Kyle Harrison last week, yeah.
What Kyle Harrison? Any little nuggets you want to tease out there? He's a big Niners fan, isn't he? He had some Niners.
He was
comments.
a Niner fan, yeah. He did not understand the Brock Purdy slander. I thought that was a fun conversation there. But I was not when we talked. We talked a lot about a lot of stuff. But one of my favorite things I really like to talk about with Kyle Harrison that we discussed and check out in the pod is he used to be a Giants fan. So he would, sit in the bleachers. He would heckle guys. Dexter Fowler was the guy that he remembered heckling. And I didn't want him to name too many players because it was going to show like the age gap between us because he's 22 years old. But yeah, we talked about just how cool it was that, he was one time in the bleachers heckling players, and now he's on the field getting heckled by fans. So he kind of had that full circle moment there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Garlic Fries and Baseball guys. But Dave Dombrowski, so he's the president of baseball ops for the Phillies, right? He's been doing this for a long time, 67 years old. And I'm looking at a guy like that because the Giants just wrapped up getting swept in Philadelphia. And I look at a guy like him and the standard that he sets wherever he goes. You can go back to when he was assistant GM with the Florida Marlins and they won a World Series with Jim Leyland back in 97. He was the assistant GM there. Think of all the great players that Marlins team had, Bonte. You can go to Detroit. He was there for 13 years. They made it to World Series, didn't win one. But think of the guys they had there. They brought in the Miguel Cabrera, right?
Yep.
They had Justin Verlander, Scherzer when he was young.
Brought in
Prince Fielder, right? Just think of all the names. Ian Kinsler. Like all those dudes that he helped bring in. And yes, they got to the mountaintop, and they're there. They didn't finish it, but he got you there. Then with the Red Sox, he was there for 4 years. What'd they do? They won a World Series.
Yep.
And now he's with the Phillies, and they've already been to a World Series. They've been to another NLCS. Like, that's what he does. And I compare Farhan Zaidi to a guy like that, and it's just, how is he not on the hot seat? It's just how I come to the, like, culture-wise, you know what you're getting with Dombrowski. Now, you might flame out, but he'll get you there. And right now, if I'm a Giants fan, that's all I want.
Let's be real.
Give me a taste.
Farhan inspires no one.
No, uninspiring.
Farhan inspires nobody. Here's Mad Dog on Farhan and how he's had his job this long.
He's been there now 5 years. How many good years has he had? One, correct? Now, if I'm on the radio for 5 years and I have one good year, am I getting a new contract?
Nope.
If you're a manager of a baseball team and you're there for 5, Belichick was in Cleveland. Belichick. He had 5 years. He had one playoff year. What'd they do? They fired him. That's Bill Belichick. Zaidi's not Bill Belichick. And they had Brady. Eventually, you got to win.
And here's Tim Kurchin on why the Giants haven't won because of the drafting and development.
In today's baseball, the best way to win is to draft and develop your own guys, get them signed long-term a la the Braves and several other teams. Otherwise, you're going to be in the market every offseason to try to get somebody to come in and fill a spot that you couldn't fill through your farm system. It just have to take another hard look and say, why isn't this happening? It's also cyclical, that things turn and suddenly here comes a player you didn't expect to be really good. But you're right. They need more production from their homegrown guys because sometimes it doesn't work when you just go get free agents and say, come on, let's join this team, big ballpark, tough place to hit certain days. We need you to produce right away. It doesn't always work that way either.
Tim Kurchin on Willard and Dibs. That was Chris Mad Dog Russo on Giants pre and post game on NBC Sports Bay Area with Laura Britt and Sean Estes here. And Mad Dog basically saying, how does he still have a job? There's Tim Kurchin, the lack of development. we're looking at the lack of development. We're still waiting on Ramos. We're still waiting on Matos. We want to see more of Casey Schmidt. We want to see Luciano, for crying out loud. And we don't want to see Luciano get caught up, get put in a 9-hole in a lineup and then get pinch hit for it his first ever Major League game. It just doesn't make any sense. Joey Bart's in Pittsburgh. What happened there? The lack of Will Bednar. What happened to him? Hunter Bishop. What about that name? I mean, it's just, I thought this guy was a farm system guru. The farm is still ranked 19th. And we have no end in sight. Where's Winston? Show me something. Inspire me, Farhan. Show me something. I need a jolt as a Giant fan watching this team. These games are going 2 hours and 30 minutes, and they feel like 4 hours and 30 minutes because of the lack of hitting, the lack of situational hitting, the lack of speed, the lack of athleticism. This ain't baseball, man. This is starting to get frustrating again. And what happens if they continue to falter? Because it doesn't get easier. You're going to Coors Field. Then you got the Reds and the Dodgers, all right? You think those guys are going to let up? Dodgers been kicking their ass for years. Go ahead.
It's funny. No, not to cut you off, Bonte, because we're talking about the Warriors and how do they get better, right? How do they compete with what we're watching in the West right now, whether it's the Nuggets, whether it's the Timberwolves, the Thunder, stuff like they are trying to do everything they can. The Lakers, they're trying so damn hard to just keep what they got. And I know it's a hard comparison because the Warriors are the freaking Warriors, the Niners are the Niners, and right now the Giants are the Giants. But it wasn't too long ago, Bonte. It was the Giants setting the standard in the Bay Area, and then the Niners, and then the Warriors. How things have changed in a decade, and we have come to the point where we're being complacent, and a guy that's had one winning season in this many years is not on the hot seat. It's baffling to me.
That seat's heating up. That seat is heating up.
It better, because I'm looking at the rest of the NL, and they're playing their young guys.
That seat is heating up.
I'm looking at the Florida Marlins, who at least they see the writing on the wall early. They're trying to get young prospects and trying to do their thing. Now, you're not the Florida Marlins because you're going to go out and spend, but you know what? They're trying to do something. The Washington Nationals, they're 17-17 right now, but they've been playing some damn good ball.
Abrams will look like a star.
He's looking like a future star.
Here's the problem. And we had Dan Sander penny pitching, and look, they have a penny pinch.
No.
But in the way they construct their deals, I think Dan and Belmont will be frustrated. I think all these Giants fans would be frustrated with the way they spent their money. You gave Matt Chapman a player option. You gave Blake Snell a player option. You're giving out player options left to right like they're candy. What are we doing around here? We're signing all these 1-and-1 deals and 2-and-1 deals. You can't marry these guys if you're a fan.
Farhan loves the player option like my wife loves to get her nails done. Constantly. Every other week, dude. Like, it's just, to your point, it signals to me that either they're not going to be here for the long haul, or when they are here for the long haul, it's because it's a deal for them, not for the team. It's
because they're not good.
That's the problem.
Not good.
That's the problem.
And then I look at Farhan last night, and, look, I don't know what's going on through his head, but I just look at the way people work rooms. The way a guy works a room. John Taylor yesterday was working a room, right? Chris Wondolowski, working the room. I see Javi Lopez. I see Saby Saves. Bully's in the building. Raymond Ritter's in the building.
It is part of the job. If you are a face of an organization and you are the guy making the decisions, you have to talk to people.
You got to be able to work the room.
Farhan
doesn't do that.
He does not have that swagger. I mean, we're talking about, what's the one word you'd use to describe this season? For me right now, it's predictable. And I don't mean predictable as in, Chapman, Soler, Conforto are coming up. Oh, here comes a 1-2-3 inning. I mean predictable as in, I kind of think this season's going as exactly how I kind of expected it to. I think that they could still get a little bit better. I don't think the season's completely cooked just yet. But therein lies the problem. Guys, it is year 6 under Farhan Zaidi. And coming into the season, the best he could give us in year 6 was, if everything goes right, we might have a shot to make the playoffs. In year 6 years, this is the best you have. So no, this whole thing about if Farhan is on the hot seat or not, he is absolutely on the hot seat. It is playoffs or bust for Farhan Zaidi. If the Giants do not make the playoffs, I don't care if they have a winning record and miss the playoffs. If they are not one of the 6 National League teams to make the playoffs, Farhan Zaidi, you're gone. The minute the Giants are eliminated from playoff contention, the pink slip needs to come in for Farhan so we can finally move off of this era of Giants baseball, because I think Farhan has completely turned fans off here. I don't get this team could actually be good this year. Fans, I don't know if they will accept this Giants team simply because of the Farhan Zaidi stamp that is on it.
Well, losing games at this point, that's well said, Lubman. Losing games at this point, Lubman, All right, you go to Colorado, you mess around and lose 2 or 3 or whatnot. You don't win a series.
They're the worst team in the National League. The Colorado Rockies are 8-26.
I would hope you can win a series
against the Rockies. They might be the worst team in Major League Baseball.
I would hope you can win a series against the Rockies. But if you don't, I'm nervous that if you come back to Oracle Park, and taking on the Reds and you take it out the Dodgers, first of all, it'll be Dodger home games. It's going to be 50% blue.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to happen.
And you're going to be facing a guy in Shohei Ohtani, who's the Triple Crown leader in the NL right now.
And I don't know, you may be avoiding.
Walker Buehler's back.
Walker Buehler's back. He's back. Hunter Green, Abbott. They've got some dudes in Cincinnati.
God, I love Ellie De La Cruz. He's so sick.
They got dudes.
Oh.
So we're going to pivot back to NBA. We're going to pivot to some Niner. We got a lot of stuff going on here. But the Giants, one word to describe them so far, deflating. I get deflated watching them on a daily basis, and it needs to change. It needs to change in a heartbeat, but it starts from up top. And right now up top, they're not getting the job done. All right, listen to 95.7 The Game.